Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to another Cocoa Flow. If you haven't tried a cocoa class before, it is just like drinking a hot chocolate. It's supposed to be really sweet, really slow and wholesome. We're going to be staying really low to the ground, so very grounded and mellow. If you did have any props nearby that you'd like to bring in, like a bolster or a blanket or a pillow, then I would totally encourage this, as well as a hot drink if you wanted to go and make that for yourself. In this class as well, we'll be bringing in some tidbits of somatic movement. So we'll be in asanas and we'll just adjust or move in a different way, which will allow us to perhaps gain a new perspective of our body and what we can do within it. Okay, we're going to start on our backs. So when you're ready, we'll lie ourselves down. Now, if you did have your pillow or bolster, then you could slide this underneath your knees. And as you roll down, maybe you keep your legs out a little bit longer, or you could take your knees wide, bring the soles of the feet together to find Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. And if you had a blanket, you could bring this up on top, or you could bring it underneath your head. And we're going to be here for a little bit of time. So just make sure you feel comfy and warm. Allowing for the eyelids to close down. It's a subtle tuck of the chin towards the chest, a little tuck of the tailbone as well, so the lower back is a little bit longer. Maybe the shoulders rock underneath you ever so slightly just to lift the chest up, opening the collarbones, the front of the body. And sometimes I like to bring one hand onto the heart, one hand onto the belly. And not only does this allow me to find perhaps a more grounded sensation, but it's also a great way to know where to direct the breath. So as we inhale, can we breathe into both hands, the hand on the belly, the hand on the ribs / the chest. And then as we exhale, just feeling the hands kind of drop down a little bit more towards the ground as the air deflates out of our lungs. And from this position, we'll do a very subtle body scan, noticing where we might be holding tension and where we can soften a little bit more. So let's start with the head. We'll go top down, bringing your attention to your face, allowing the eyebrows to soften, the eyelids to soften, an unclenching of the jaw, maybe even the teeth separate slightly, the tops and the bottom. Lips may part ever so slightly. And the tip of the tongue is just gently resting behind the back of the teeth. Just moving down the neck, allowing the back of the neck to get heavy, the front of the throat. The shoulders. Front of the chest, the collarbones. Moving down the arm, the upper arm, allowing the biceps and the triceps to soften, the forearms, the palms, the fingertips, the thumbs, and the back of the shoulder blades, the back of the spine, letting the whole of the back of the torso soften down towards the ground. Coming back into the front of the torso, allowing for the belly to soften, the pelvic floor to soften, the glutes, the front of the thigh, the quadriceps, the adductors, the back of the thigh, the hamstrings, letting the upper leg become really heavy. Same with the pelvis. The calf muscles, the front of the shin, the soles of the feet, the tops of the feet, the toes, letting all these parts of the body really drop down, get weighty. And while we continue to find stillness in the body, we're just going to bring some attention to our eyes. Okay, now you can totally just keep the eyes in a more neutral position. If you wanted to experiment, what we'll do is, with the eyes closed, turn the eye gaze to the left. And then lift the eye gaze up. Turn the eye gaze to the right. And then turn the eye gaze down. Let's go in the opposite direction, turn to the right. Lift it up. Turn to the left. And then lower it down. All right, one more time each direction, turn to the left. Lift it up. Turn to the right, and then down, other way to the right, and up, to the left, and then down. And then just relaxing the eyes. It's a lot harder than you expect. So one of my party tricks is I can kind of roll my eyes in different directions at the same time. It's pretty weird, but it's a fun one to do. Okay, stay here. See if you can clench the jaw. So squeeze the teeth as much as you can. And then open your mouth. Maybe even make a sound here. Otherwise, just opening your mouth as much as you can. And then clenching the teeth. Maybe even pursing the lips slightly. Scrunching up the face. And then opening the mouth. Ah. Maybe you can even open the eyes, lift the eyebrows as well if you wanted to. And then squeeze the face, clench the teeth. And then open. Breathing in, and then as you exhale, scrunch up. Inhale, open. And then relaxing the face. And sometimes we need to go through both extremes to be able to find a more neutral position. Extend your legs and your arms. You might take the bolster out from underneath your knees, or you could keep it in, it's up to you. We're going to start to stretch the right side of your body. So can you reach your right arm up and push your right foot to the back of the mat? You're feeling the right ribs kind of arch to the side. And then we'll swap. So left hand is going to reach up, left foot is going to pull away. And we're kind of going to pedal just from right to left a few more times. So moving from one side and then to the other side. I'm going to take the bolster out. I think that's going to make it a little bit easier. And it requires a little bit of coordination to figure out what side of the body you're moving. But once you get it, you just flow through it a couple more times. So breathing in one direction, breathing out other direction. Let's go one more each side. And then reach both hands, both feet away. Take a full body stretch. Can you point the toes? Can you extend your fingertips? Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out, let it go. Maybe a little shimmy of your hips, shimmy of the shoulders. And then when you're ready, find stillness. What you're going to do is interlace your thumbs at the top. Okay, fingers are still separate. Take a deep breath in. As we exhale, start to lift your fingertips up to the sky. Lift your chest off the ground and keep pulling yourself up until you find your way to seated. Take another deep breath in as you lift the arms above your head. Your knees can be bent here. And then as you exhale, can you imagine like you're diving forward, kind of scooping down and then up. Take another deep breath in as you lift up. As we exhale, we curl down the spine. Reach your fingertips away from you. Lower back comes down, then mid back, then upper back. Breathe in at the bottom, reach the arms overhead. As you exhale, lift the chest. Slowly curl up the spine. Take a deep breath in once you get to the top. Lift up tall through the spine. As you exhale, dive forward. Just as much as you can. Take a deep breath in once you get to the top. As you exhale, curl yourself down. Let's go one more. Inhale. These are one of my favorite movements at the moment. As you exhale, curl up. You might have seen these a couple of times in different classes. Inhale, lift up. As you exhale, dive forward. This time hold, kind of in your forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Soften your arms down to the side. Of course, you can have your knees bent, especially as, we're still kind of warming up. Little tuck in of the chin towards the chest. Let's go, one more breath. And then start to walk yourself back. Bring the hands behind you. Take your feet wide, lift up tall, and then let's draw the knees from one side and then to the other side. So finding some window wipers. Remember, at any point you can grab your drink. We got a new coffee machine at home, and it's honestly been the love of my life. It has a milk frother, which is so good, and it's automatic, so you don't need to be barista to do it. I love it. Okay, the next time your knees are over to the left, we're gonna hold there. Start to turn your chest to the left and keep moving yourself around until your right hand reaches back. Okay, so you can stay a little bit more upright. If it feels good, you could bring the left elbow down to the ground. Start to explore your range. Maybe you wiggle your right hand out a little bit further. The forehead could come down onto the left wrist if that feels accessible. Deep breaths into the sides of the ribs here. And then as you exhale, you might find there's a little bit more space to drop the chest down. Let's go one more breath. Big twist for the spine, a little bit of opening through the right side body as well as a stretch through the left hip. Try to keep your arms really long here. We're going to slowly walk ourselves around. So you're kind of patting the ground until your hands kind of are in front of your left leg. Start to fold forward again. Maybe the chest even touches down on the left thigh. And then we're going to continue walking over until we're more aligned with our left foot. Take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, maybe folding forward a little bit more. Remember, elbows could always come down to the ground. Can you think about tipping from the hips? So drawing your belly button forward a little bit more. You might feel a little bit more of a stretch through your right adductor and maybe the left leg a little bit more with that movement. You could either just stay here in this, really passive stretch. If you did feel like a little bit more activeness, just ever so slightly start to engage the core. Can you push the right knee down into the ground and then lift the right heel as high as you can off the ground? Hold here. What we're doing is internally rotating through the femur bone here. Very normal if you do get a cramp. And then when you're ready, lower the right heel down. Take a deep breath in at the bottom. As we exhale, we reverse it, push the right foot down, lift the right knee as high as you can off. It might not be very far. You might not even be able to get it off the ground. That's totally okay. Let's go one more breath. And then lower yourself down to the ground. Walk your hands back towards you. Bring the hands behind. And then drop the knees from one side and to the other side again. As we continue to move, can you just notice the different body parts that you might be feeling sensations in? Every day is going to be a little bit different, so we need to have this open awareness to what we might be experiencing. Next time your knees are over to the right, hold there. Start to turn the chest a little bit more to the right and keep wandering your hands back until your left hand moves all the way back. And maybe you stay there. Maybe the right elbow comes down to the ground. If the forehead comes down as well, maybe to the wrist of the right arm, feel free to. In particular, breathing into the left side of the rib. And then as you exhale, maybe the left side of the body can get a little closer to the ground.
2 more breaths. And try to stay low to the ground. Reach your arms out. Just gently move your hands. Almost like you're a cat kind of making biscuits. If you know what I mean, you're kind of gently pouring the ground. Once you get your chest in line with your knee, hold there. Take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, bring some weight down. If possible, allow for the back of the head to become a little bit heavier. Get really passive, really weighty here. Let's go one more breath. And then just starting to walk yourself back over to the left until your chest kind of comes a little bit more in line with the foot. Elbows could come down, hands could just come down. A little bit more of a stretch for the adductors, the inner of the legs. Keep thinking about tipping the pelvis forward. What that's going to help do is lengthen the lower back as well. Let's go one more breath. Maybe you stay in this more passive position. If you felt like a bit more activeness, what you'll do is press the left knee into the ground, take a deep breath in, and then as you exhale, how high can you lift your left foot off the ground? And you should definitely feel the sensation in kind of the glutes area. And then when you're already touching that part down, we'll swap it out, breathe in. As we exhale, push the left foot down, lift the left knee off the ground. Trying to relax the face. Let's go one more breath. And then lower yourself down to the ground. Walk your hands back. Bring the hands behind you. And again, just let the knees drop for one side to the other side. We're going to head down onto our bellies next. Actually, we'll come into child's pose first. Cross your legs over. Bring your hands down to the ground. Shift yourself back. Now, a variation of child's pose I've been playing a lot with recently is just lifting the hips up and then bringing the forearms underneath the thighs and then lowering the hips back down. So you get a nice stretch for the calf muscles. Also just allows for the shoulders to relax a little bit more. Forehead grounded down towards the mat. Maybe you'd like to stay in a bit more stillness, or you could shift from side to side. And then when you're ready, find a moment of stillness, letting the hips drop back. Lift your hips up off your heels. Slide your hands forward. Now we'll roll down onto our bellies. So take a deep breath in, start to move forward. And then as we exhale, coming down, we'll set up for Sphinx pose. Now feel free to bring your bolster underneath your chest here. I kind of like to do this without the bolster. Again, another opportunity to drink your hot drink. For most of us, when this class comes out, will be in winter, and so it's just nice to have something warm there. From this position, can you think about Pushing your forearms in the direction of the ground. Little engagement through the glutes. Of course, if you wanted to be more passive, you could just let the heads drop and the chest drop a little bit. We're going to play with a little bit of finger mobilization / coordination. Can you lift your thumbs off the ground? Just your thumbs. And then bring it down. Bring your index finger off the ground. Bring it down. Your third finger, your middle finger. Bring it down. Your fourth finger, your middle finger. This one's the hardest for me. Bring it down. The fifth finger, your pinky finger. Bring it down. Let's go the opposite way. So fourth finger. Bring it down. Middle finger. Bring it down. Index finger. Bring it down. Thumbs. Bring it down. We're going to try some movement combos. See if you can bring your index finger and your fourth finger off the ground without any of the other fingers coming off. And then bring it down. We'll do the opposite. So 3 fingers, your thumb, your middle finger, and the pinky finger, trying to bring those off. And then bring it down, 1 more of each, bringing the second and fourth finger off. Just notice how other fingers might want to come off at the same time. Bringing it down, and then the opposite. So the thumb, the middle finger, and the pinky. I find this really hard. And then coming down. Let's hold here for another 2 breaths. Maybe peeking the chest through a little bit more. And then coming down to the ground. Just let your hands slide down by your sides, maybe a little rock of the hip side to side. Palms facing up, back of the hands facing down. Now you might stay exactly where you are. If you wanted to try a little bit of a quad stretch, you can bend the right knee. Maybe the right hand comes around to hold onto the leg, and you could just say with the right arm, or the left hand can come around as well. A couple of different options. You could just get a little bit passive, let the body be heavy here. If you wanted to make it a little bit more active, you might feel the stretch a little bit more. Think about engaging the glutes and tucking the ribs towards the hips. One more option for anyone who wanted to try is a variation of our Bakasana, our frog pose. And what we'll do is take the right hand on top of the foot. You're going to lift the elbow and then try turn, swivel on the hand so the toes, so the fingertips face forward. And so you're kind of pushing down on the foot. And you might stay a little bit more still. You could bounce up and down a couple of times depending on flexibility, kind of accessibility of this position. Let's go 1 more breath. And we'll swap it out to the other side. So left knee bending. Maybe it's just the left hand or both hands. If you wanted to try Bakasana again, then the left hand kind of swivels on top of the foot, fingertips turning forward, and you might even kind of clasp onto the toes. Elbow is stacked up on top of the wrist and kind of pushing down. Also getting a stretch through the front of the foot. This can feel quite challenging, so if you needed to go to any other variations to hold on to the foot, feel free to. Let's go 1 more breath. And then slowly starting to come back out. Bring the hands by the ribs. Inhale as you push up onto your knees. As you exhale, take your knees wide, sink your hips back towards the heels. wide-legged child's pose, either maybe in line with the mat, maybe you even go off the mat. You could stay here, you could add a twist, taking the right arm through to the left, just a really subtle one. Maybe the right side of the head comes down to the floor or onto the left forearm. And taking some slow, deep breaths. Every exhale, an opportunity to sink a little bit further to the ground, maybe letting the knees slide even wider. And starting to come back through center. Let's swap it out to the other side. Deep breath in. Deep breath out to twist. When you're ready, coming back through center, bring the hands to the ground, slide your knees in, sweep your feet to one side. Final asana before we head down onto our backs, back into our Paschimottanasana, our forward fold. So take a deep breath in, lift the arms up tall. As we exhale, find that dive forward. Reaching the hands by the sides. Taking some slow, deep breaths into the back of the ribs. And as we exhale, letting the abdominal wall draw up and inwards, creating a little bit more space for our belly button to shift forward on the legs. Let's go one more breath. Roll yourself back up through center. Final opportunity for a sip if you want it. Otherwise, breathe in as you lift your arms, interlace the thumbs. As we exhale, slowly roll down onto the back, just like we did before, lowering the lower back down, then the mid back, then the upper back. And if you're just checking in with your energy, if you're feeling like you want to go straight into Savasana, please feel free to. If you felt like a kind of finishing asana, you could grab your bolster, your pillow, or just do this without. Sliding this underneath our hips, kind of by the SI joint, a little bit of the lower back maybe. And we can find a waterfall pose, lifting the feet up above the hips. Knees might be bent, legs might be long, and feel free to go for stillness. Maybe find a little bit of movement here, a little shift of the hips. Maybe the arms get into the game as well, a little bit of a shake. Moving in any way that feels good. Maybe taking the feet out to the side, bending, straightening them. And then when we're ready, finding Shavasana. Maybe you start or you finish where we started. Bolster can come underneath the knees, or you might keep it underneath the hips. Just a little tuck of the chin towards the chest again. Slowing the breath down. Noticing how much more aware of your body you may be. And we'll just be here for a couple of minutes in quiet together. If you had the time and felt like you wanted to stay here a little bit longer, I would so encourage it. If you feel ready to transition out, we'll just start to wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingertips. And then either rolling through one side or simply just rolling up through a seat. We'll land with our eyes closed. Maybe keeping the hands in the lap or bringing hands through heart center. Take a deep breath in, find that fullness of breath. And a deep breath out. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the class. There was some sneaky bit of challenge in there. Let me know how you found it. And as always, I look forward to moving again with you sometime soon, whether that's here on YouTube or feel free to check us out over on Patreon as well. I look forward to seeing you soon. Mwah.